This method is what new billionaires are using to grow their businesses in 2024. And there's people like Warren Buffett, people like Ray Dalio, even up and coming billionaires like Alex Hormozi, Iman Gadzhi, Andrew Tate. They're all using this exact business model to scale incredibly fast. So every big name in the agency space that you know, I've probably spoken to them already. I've even seen the insights into how they operate their businesses, right? People like Charlie Morgan, who's doing around $1 million a month. I've personally made modules in the program that their students are following. So I've seen how they run the business. I'm also a coach now in Iman Gadzhi's agency accelerator, and I've seen how they run everything. And then on top of this, I've also built two 50K per month agencies, and I'm now building a 7-figure consulting company helping agency owners to apply this new leveraged model to their business. And what this model is called leveraged consulting. Now I want to tell you a quick story from when I was running my agency. And at this point, I already signed my first few clients and I was at around 5 to 20K per month. And the reason that I say that discrepancy is because it varied. Like every single month it would be a different amount. And this is because of all the problems that I was facing at the time. Right? From the outside, I looked pretty successful. I was making around 10 to 20,000 every single month. My old friends from high school, they were all like, man, how are you making this money? How are you living by yourself? How do you have this business? But on the inside, it was a mess. Right? I had inconsistent revenue. Some months it was up, some months it was down. And the reason was that I was involved in every single aspect of the business. I didn't have leverage. So I was there doing lead sourcing. I was there doing outreach. I was there doing sales. I was there doing delivery. I would be doing the client support and honestly, every single thing that needed to be done to run the agency. So I would get a 5 to 10K setup cost. And at this time I was running the appointment setting agency. So I was helping agencies to get more leads by doing outbound systems. So I would charge around 5 to 10K one time, and then $100 per booking. So I was working on a performance basis. And because of this, some months I'd get, let's say 3 clients, I'd make 15,000, I'd be on top of the world. And then I actually have to deliver, right? And this is where the problem was. I had such bad operations. So the more clients I got, the worse results I got because they would come on, I need to onboard them. I'm spending all my time on check-in calls and then I don't even have time to do the delivery. And then it gets to the point where all you're doing every single day is just putting out fires. This is what I was doing, right? And it gets to the point as well where, and this is what most agency owners, they don't talk about, right? The people you see on YouTube, online, everywhere, they don't mention these things, but you actually start to resent your agency. You actually start to hate your clients, right? And that's the worst position to be in. You started this business to give you freedom, to make you money, right? And to work with people you like working with. And now you hate all of it. And that's probably the worst situation you could be in that no one talks about. So it gets to the point where I don't really believe in the whole burnout thing, but you just feel like you're completely against everything. You just want to stop, to be honest. And I was at the point where my revenue was stagnant. I couldn't actually go above 20,000 per month because I was stuck, right? Whenever I got more clients, results went down. So the change that I made though was when I found the idea of leveraged consulting. And this is what allowed me to get to the point where even though I started the agency in the beginning to make money, this was my goal, get 10K, 20K, live a great life. But I realized that I started the agency because I wanted freedom, right? So I wanted the financial freedom, but I also wanted the time freedom. So I wanted to be able to choose when I wanted to work, right? It wasn't like I didn't want to work. I just wanted to work on the things that I liked working on, which was things like creating content, managing the team, as opposed to like sourcing leads, all of that. So I wanted the time freedom, the financial freedom, but also the location freedom. So being able to work from anywhere. So by using the leverage consulting model, it allowed me to get to the point where I had this freedom. I had a team taking care of the delivery, the client support, the bookings, the sales, all of that. They were running extremely efficiently. The team was lean, it was small. It wasn't like with 10, 15 employees. The margins were great. They were around 70 to 90%. And the best part is I was working less, but the business grew faster. So as soon as I implemented this new model, we nearly immediately scaled to 50 to 60,000 every single month. So what I want to do is walk you through what this model looks like, how it works, and how you can implement it for yourself. And one thing I want to mention is that this isn't some spin-off of like the agency model that everyone on YouTube is doing, whether it's growth operating, IPGA, whatever these things are. This is probably the most foundational, logical way to run a business in 2024. And this is why people like Alex Hormozi, this is why people like Iman, this is why people like Charlie Morgan, who are all making millions per month, are using this exact model. And if you don't want to take my word for it, just take theirs. So let's start with some definitions. What is consulting? Now, Sam Ovens famously said that consulting is simply taking someone from point A to point B, their current situation to their desired situation. So let's say someone's goal is to go from 10K per month to 50K per month. The role of a consultant is to help them make this gap. Now, a very key point is that a consultant doesn't have to just help them make this transformation with information or words. A consultant is an agency, right? So someone doing the work to get them from 10K to 50K. Or it could also be a course. So someone just going through the material and getting the same outcome. It could also be a done with you coaching. So you're giving one-on-one feedback to do that. it doesn't actually matter how you do it. The only thing that matters is that they make the transformation. And if you're doing this, you're a consultant. So in the same way that in the past, where I was helping agencies on a done for you basis, doing all the work for them, writing the campaigns, writing the scripts, sending the messages, and then helping them, sign clients and generate revenue. In the same way that with our program now, where I help agencies one-on-one, it's the same outcome. It's still consulting. Now, leverage is simply using tools that amplify your effort. So in the past, in like the caveman days or whatever, their form of leverage would be tools. So let's say like a spear or something, when they were trying to like hunt an animal. Weird example. But it would be much more effective to use some pointy object than using their hands to like try and hunt a buffalo or whatever. So they use tools to make things more efficient. In the same way that if you want to get from point A to point B location-wise, you take a car. You're not just going to walk. So you use the leverage of the vehicle, the car, to actually help you get there faster. So in the same way, in consulting, where we're helping someone go from point A to point B, by applying leverage, and I'm going to talk about how to do that in a minute, by applying leverage, you can make that transformation faster with less work from you and less work from the client. And in 2024, there's endless amounts of leverage. Naval, who's worth probably like 1.5 billion at this point, he was even saying that in 2024, in the modern era, there's infinite leverage. So the amount that you get paid is dependent on how good your decisions are, right? Not how much work you can do, how much scrambling you can do, by how good decisions you can make. So just a quick example on how I applied leverage to the done for you agency when I was running this, because you may be running an agency right now, whether it's advertising, content creation, anything, SEO, whatever it might be. We were personally doing appointment setting. So we were helping agencies to get more appointments using things like LinkedIn, email, all of that. So the first way that I applied leverage was we used to have 3 copywriters on the team. So they would write the scripts for our clients. So they would do the research. They'd probably spend like 5 hours on that during the onboarding, speaking to clients on Google, doing all these things. Then they would take that information, put it into a script, and they would use this in the outbound, right? And this process would take a long, long time. And we'd have to have meetings with them every single week just to make sure everything was going well. The way that we implemented leverage though, was when we first started hearing about things like ChatGPT. Simply put, we just replaced the copywriters with ChatGPT. So what we would do is we would go into ChatGPT and we would use it to determine the key pieces of information that we needed to run these campaigns. So for example, if I was running a campaign targeting marketing agencies, right, I could use ChatGPT to just list out the pain points. So for example, if I went to ChatGPT now and I just said, what are the major problems faced by agencies between 10 to 50K per month? They would say things like inconsistent revenue. So some months revenue's up, some months revenue's down, inconsistent bookings, operational inefficiencies. So you may be doing everything yourself. You may be stuck in the day-to-day. You may be burnt out working all day. You may be constantly putting out fires. These are all things that would usually take 10 hours of calls and research to find, but can be found in 10 seconds using ChatGPT. And one person can do this. So we would just use this information in our copy and book a ton of meetings. And we went from having 3 copywriters to 1 copywriter to not even having copywriters and just having the operations manager manage that. Another way that we use leverage is when you're typically onboarding new team members. So you're hiring a new team member, you want to get them trained up on your company and then on the actual tasks that they need to do. You need to spend a lot of time training. And this is honestly where most of the managerial time goes. Obviously, if you have clients on board, if you have team on board, you understand this. So instead of presenting all the info that they need on calls to actually teach them, so you're literally sitting on a one-on-one call like, this is our company, this is what we do, and just spending a ton of time repeating yourself, what you can do, and what we did, I recorded all the information that they would need on the company, on the tasks, on the clients, on everything. And I just made it into one location. I literally just listed it in one Google Doc. So for example, when I was bringing on an operations manager now, it is like, all I needed to do was just list out every SOP. So it's like, okay, when a client's payment fails, what do you do then? It's like, okay, so you message the client, you put them in this spreadsheet, you follow up here, and you just do this sequentially. Then I put the other workflow. It's like, okay, how do you engage in the community? How do you answer questions in Slack? All these things. And they literally just had one doc with every single thing that they need. So essentially, instead of going from spending 40 hours over the period of 2 months training them, they can literally just go over the doc and all the videos in a weekend. So I give it to them on Friday, they watch it over Saturday and Sunday, and they're starting on Monday. And I didn't do anything. So as you can imagine, if you can just do this for every single person on your team, it's like you barely need to spend any time managing or training. And at the same time, if you wanted to hire someone new, you literally just give them the exact same resource. So this is the leveraged approach. So the final point that I want to give you, and probably the most important point, is that if you're making between 3 to 10 to 20 to anything above that, if you're making anything above 3K per month, it just means that you have the skills to run an agency, in that you know how to book the meetings, you know how to sign the clients, you know how to deliver, you know how to do client support. Therefore, the only thing stopping you from getting out of the day-to-day and scaling isn't some new crazy tactic. It's literally just documenting what you do to get results and giving it off to someone else. So let's say you're doing onboarding now, and what you do is you invite the client to Slack, you send them a message, you send them an onboarding call, you walk them through specific things. The only reason you're still doing this is because you haven't given it off to someone else. And I understand, okay, client support, you don't want other people managing your clients, all of that, even though it's a crazy belief to have. Even for something super, super basic. Like let's say the backend setup for a client. So let's say you're running Facebook ads for them, and what you need is to collect all the information from them. What you can do is you can just teach an assistant, a VA, for $3 to $5 an hour how to do this. You document it once, and then as soon as a new client comes on board, you can tell them, look, as soon as you see this payment come in, immediately send them an email, invite them to Slack, set up the business manager, do this, prepare this, and get it all done in the backend. And what can happen is, and the first time I saw this, I literally can't even describe how I felt, but I was on calls all day, sales calls. And what happened was we onboarded a new client the day before. And this is as soon as I first documented this and gave it to a VA. And what I realized was the entire setup, it just happened without me. Like the entire client got onboarded. They joined Slack, they completed the form, they even got questions answered by the VA. The client's happy, they knew the expectations. The VA was like, okay, we have all this information, it's all in one doc. It is the best thing ever. And every single new client that came on board was completely done without me. And then after that point, I had the copywriter. So they wrote up the campaigns, they did all of that, they did the testing. So essentially, all I did was I took a sales call. I just told my team, okay, this client's gonna get onboarded, just handle that. I went on to another sales call. And while I was on that call, everything else happened in the backend. So the VA, the operations VA, they started on the setup. So they got the domains, the emails, all of that. My copywriter started on the campaigns, the research, all of that. And then within 24 hours, they were ready to launch. And I didn't do any of it. And I can't explain how great of a feeling this is when your entire business is taken care of and you're not doing any of this. So if you want me to personally walk you through how we did this in the past and how you can do the same, book a time using the link below, and I'll happily walk you through all the systems that we use to make this transition. Because I promise you, if you can do this, your entire life will change. Because this doesn't just apply to operations or clients. It applies to sales, bookings, delivery, support, everything. And if you can get out of all of these, you literally have all the time in the day to do whatever you want, right? So book a time using the link below, and I'll see you very soon.